Hey, what's up everybody? I am recording this on my DJI Osmo Action because I want to talk to you about the Fuji system and do my hair today. The Fuji system and why it is nothing but a bunch of compromise. If you guys haven't seen my Instagram or YouTube posts, I recently picked up this guy right here, the Fuji X Pro 3, and it also got a 35mm f1.4 lens to try. And as you guys know from my last video, the reason why I picked up the X Pro 3 is because I love the X100V so much, but I miss interchangeable lens camera to throw some telephoto or some super wide shell depth of field primes on there and have some fun with. And so I wanted to pick up the X Pro 3. I found a pretty decent deal on B&H used on this Dura Black. It looks like gunmetal gray, by the way. This finish is awesome. Does not do it justice in pictures, way better in person. I found one for a good price, and I only had 150 shots on the shutter count, and I wanted to give it a try and see what was going on. So I picked this thing up and shot with it. And so I want to go through each style camera, each type of camera, and explain why they're good and why they're also full of compromise. So let's get started real quick. The Fuji X Pro 3, I can tell you off the bat, build quality is amazing. This finish is really cool. The camera is very inspiring to hold and look at. It's bigger than you think. I would actually say it feels bigger in my hand than the X-T series. But everything, all the dials, controls, everything feels really, really premium to me. It feels amazing. And so the build quality of this camera is fantastic. I'll skip all the stuff on here. You can check out the reviews all you want, but I'll say this. The one thing about this camera, the one very polarizing thing, is always the screen. And this is the con section of the X Pro 3. This is great for waist level shooting, but it is terrible for overhead shooting unless you flip the camera upside down and try and do it that way, which is a solution. You can totally do it that way. But more importantly, this screen made me realize how much I chimp and how much time I end up spending holding my camera like this away from me, using the screen to compose a photo either down low or up high, and not having it to my eye. Now, getting this camera, I knew that. That's what I like about film photography. You shoot the photo, you move away from it, you don't know if it was good or bad or not, but the fact that it's digital, I do want to know. If I'm capturing that moment for my family or my kids, I want to know, did I get the moment or didn't I get the moment? And so now it's additional workflow for me to go like this and review it and whatever. Or if I'm trying to shoot out, I can do that with the screen like this, but it's a different experience. And so I'm very polarized on this. But basically what it comes down to is, do I want to commit to not chimping my photos? Do I want to commit to not hand-holding the camera out and taking photos? Because other than that, this camera would be my choice. It can do video. I think it's only 30 minutes in 1080. It has the Eterna profile. You can put stabilized lenses on there and you'd be fine with it. You know, it's 2.5mm headphone jack or a microphone jack. I have an adapter, so there's workarounds there. But I really like this camera, except the screen is so polarizing for me and it's exposing the way I shoot. At $1650, which is what I got it for, used off B&H instead of the typical $2,000 price, it's a lot of money to spend for something that I have to work around like that. And so keep that in mind. $1650 for this body. That's the X Pro 3. Here is the X-T2. You guys know I bought this from Ken Wheeler, the Angry Photographer. I think I looked at the exit data, it had 498 shots on it, so basically like new condition. He blacked everything out. Okay, now the X-T series is the more utilitarian, probably better ergonomically built camera for the stuff I do. For example, it has a back screen, so I can do this. I can actually tilt that screen, right, and do overhead stuff like this. It supports that more often. It also makes you want to chimp every single shot. And I don't get the experience of looking through the OVF, which I really do like on the X Pro 3. I like the OVF for whatever reasons. Like the X Pro 3, I can change lenses. But the trade-off with the X-T2 is it's not as great for continuous autofocus and action. It's not as great for video autofocus as the X Pro 3 or any of the new modern Fuji cameras, X-T3, X-T4, or whatever it might be. But I bought this for $550. That's $1650. That's an $1,100 difference. I also have the battery grip with this, right? I can do vertical portrait shooting. It's a much more versatile camera. I'll also say this, you don't really recognize it until you get into it, but I really appreciate these collars to quickly go from shooting photos to shooting video, changing metering modes, and that kind of stuff, and quickly seeing where you're at and quickly changing that. I think you can program some of the custom function buttons on the X Pro 3 to do this, but it's not as quick and as intuitive to quickly switch out of those. And so on the base level, the XT series is actually a more ergonomically interesting camera. But from a build quality and inspiration aspect, the X Pro 3 all day. I'll also say on this X-T2, I don't get Eterna, which is my favorite video profile. I miss it. That's what I want to get back to in a lot of ways. So yeah, I mean, you're talking about $1,100 difference. Ergonomically, probably a little better, but you got the trade-offs with the video autofocus, the bit rates in video, and the continuous autofocus in photo. And now, last but not least, the X100V. Got this for $13.99. I bought it. I think it's $13.50. I got it like slightly open box on Amazon. It's got everything the X Pro has, for the most part, except interchangeable lens camera and dual SD card slots. The lens they put onto this is super sharp. It's small, it's compact, it can fit in your jacket pocket, no problem. But I lose the ability to put some of those 1.4 and 1.2 primes on the camera, which really have a unique, amazing look. And Fuji, if you know, you know, those lenses are fantastic. Also, I can't shoot telephoto, the 50 to 140, the 55 to 200. And this really is a supplementary camera. But I'll say this, it does have the screen back here that I like a lot. I can tilt, I can do overhead shooting. They did a really good job with that. And truth be told, I could shoot video with this as long as it's locked off, no problem. I need a gimbal for any kind of walking stuff. I can adapt the WCL to get a wider field of view. And if I shoot JPEG, the digital teleconverter does a really good job giving me that 50 and 70 millimeter equivalent field of view. So here's the problem. Here's the story. The Fuji system is trade-offs everywhere. You can have this pocket camera with an amazing lens and bring it everywhere, get the optical viewfinder experience. It's great. You can get the same experience as the X Pro 3 and change lenses, but it's not quite as pocketable, and that screen is so polarizing. Or you can get an X-T2, X-T3, X-T4, save yourself some money. My son's in there. Save yourself some money, but it's not as inspiring. It's kind of a workhorse camera. Now, I brought the X-T3 because the interesting thing is I can get all the stuff I get out of the X-T2, but get the Eterna, get the better autofocus in video and photo for $1,000, and sell this for $550, $600, and the net to me is $400. It's an interesting proposition. But I wanted to make this video real quick for you guys to just kind of compare and contrast the three different styles of photo camera. And I guess I'll ask you this, given my circumstances, the money I paid for each one of these, what combination would you go with? I'll list them out right here. The X-T2 with the battery grip for $550, the X100V for $1350, or the X Pro 3 for $1650. And in terms of lenses, I got the 35-1.4 for $550, and I got the 18-55 for like $250, maybe even less than that. So what would you guys do? How would you spend $2,000 if you had it? Appreciate you watching. Comment below. I'm really looking for your feedback on this one. I'll give you guys some feedback and thoughts in a future video. See ya.